and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Redi Francis coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon. And this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from West Asia, one of the most volatile regions in the world. The drums of war are higher and higher in Lebanon, the country I'm currently standing in. Unprecedented numbers of deaths since Lebanese civil war in the past week. Escalations between the Israelis and the Lebanese are higher and higher. The Israelis say they're preparing for a ground invasion, and Iran's supreme leader promises they would be defeated in front of Hezbollah group. And Hezbollah's Nasrallah said he is waiting for that. What's happening in Syria with the arrival of a new cabinet? And about the UAE and the US growing defense ties. All this is lined up, but first, let's take a look at the headlines.
An Israeli airstrike killed 5 Syrian soldiers near the border with Lebanon. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights War Monitor said Israeli warplanes targeted a crossing that links Syria to Lebanon, wounding several civilians. Yemen's Houthis say they targeted Israel's cities of Tel Aviv and Ashkelon with a ballistic missile and a drone in support of Gaza and Lebanon. This comes after Israeli army claimed it intercepted a missile that was fired from Yemen early in the day. Saudi Arabia announced the launch of a new initiative to establish a Palestinian state and garner support for the implementation of a two-state solution. Saudi's top diplomat said the initiative was a joint Arab and European effort.
In a few days, over 600 Lebanese people were killed by Israeli strikes. Civilians' families were wiped off in South Lebanon, in southern suburb of Beirut, in Beqa and West Beqa, Baalbek and Hermel. Many places in Lebanon have been pounded. And also on the other side, Hezbollah says it struck intelligence bases, military bases for the Israelis. And the Iraqis as well have hit with their missiles, and also the Yemenis. Is the region, after all this escalation, on the brink of a full-blown, full-scale war? We tell you more.
Almost a year after launching its war on Gaza, Israel has shifted its focus to the Lebanese Hezbollah group. death toll on either side of the Israel-Lebanon border is showing no signs of slowing down. Lebanon has experienced its bloodiest week since the start of the civil war. With the death toll nearing 700 and over 30,000 people fleeing from border towns in southern Lebanon, world powers are concerned that the Hezbollah-Israel war might turn into a full-blown regional war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is hell-bent on his promise to return displaced Israelis to their homes in the north. In the further escalation of fire, Israel is planning a ground incursion in Lebanon.
We are essentially preparing shoulder to shoulder with the Northern Command for a potential ground maneuver. We are preparing for its activation if there is a decision from more senior ranks.
Hezbollah, on the other hand, claims to have struck Israel's Mossad base in the heart of the nation. The Lebanese group has been continuously targeting the northern cities of Israel, raining down most recently its FADI-1 missile on the Israeli town of Kiryat, bordering Haifa. Hezbollah benefactor Iran declares Israel cannot defeat the Lebanese group, even after killing its commander.
Of course, the loss of a person, especially if he is a commander and has a history of jihad, is a loss. There is no doubt about it. Therefore, they've won so far, and by God's grace and power, the final victory in this battle belongs to the resistance and the Hezbollah front.
Global powers, including US, UK and EU nations, have called for a 21-day ceasefire across the Israel-Lebanon border.
I think it would be a mistake for the Prime Minister of Israel to refuse a ceasefire proposal because he would take on the responsibility of a regional escalation, but of an escalation beyond what anyone could control.
I call on Israel and Hezbollah, stop the violence. Step back from the brink. We need to see an immediate ceasefire to provide space for a diplomatic settlement. And we are working with all partners to that end.
Amid the escalation in the region, Iran's axis of resistance has vowed to support the Hezbollah group.
Any aggressive ground operation carried out by the Israeli enemy will be followed by heavy losses upon them, and its inevitable result, God willing, will be a major defeat.
With an imminent threat of Israel's ground incursion in Lebanon and a replay of the 2006 scenario, the pressing situation remains. Will Israel act on its warnings or limit its attacks in the near future? Almost a year-long war on Gaza has already put a huge strain on the Israeli economy, military and society. Tens of thousands of Israeli reservists have been called up various times by the military, taking them away from their jobs and their families. Israeli society is divided on the strategy being pursued by the government, with many calling for a focus on the release of the captives held in Gaza rather than the defeat of Hamas.
Now to Palestine, the center and the reason of it all. In Gaza, the Israeli forces have given the Palestinians 80 bodies of unidentified Gazans. Gaza's Ministry of Health is raising questions as they are asking about the identity of these victims and bodies. They are digging mass graves. What's inside for the Palestinians? On the other hand, an American news outlet accused Antony Blinken of lying about Gaza aid. We tell you more and decode that in this report.
أوقفوا هذه الجريمة. أوقفوها الآن.
Stop this crime. Stop it now. Stop the killing of children and women. Stop this genocide. Stop sending weapons to Israel. This madness cannot continue. The entire world is responsible.
The Palestinian president pleading with the 193-member UN General Assembly to stop the war in Gaza, claiming the nearly destroyed enclave is no longer fit for life. But there is no let-up in the war in Gaza, even as Israel's battle with Hezbollah on its northern front has escalated. On Thursday, in yet another tragic incident, Israeli forces sent in a truck full of unidentified bodies into Gaza. As the Gaza Health Ministry sought answers and IDs, onlookers watched the 88 bodies buried near Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis.
I was checking on the martyrs and I want to see if my son is among them or not. I want to know. God willing, I can't say God willing. Please God, I hope he's not among them. Please God, I want to go inside and look for myself, but I can't.
A year after the October 7 attack that sparked war in Gaza, diplomacy has failed to produce a ceasefire amid the persistent rise in casualties.
Each of us has to continue to press all of the parties to make the decisions necessary to get this deal over the finish line. It remains, again, the best way to get hostages home, bring relief to people, and also can help us reduce tensions on other fronts.
A U.S. investigation news outlet says Washington's top diplomat may have misled Congress about the aid in Gaza. On Tuesday, ProPublica reported the U.S. Agency for International Development told the State Department in late April that Israel is subjecting U.S. humanitarian aid destined for Gaza to arbitrary denial, restriction, and impediments. In his May address to the Congress, Blinken delivered a different conclusion. All eyes are on Israel's main ally, the United States, that has pushed for a ceasefire but kept up its military aid to Israel. Israel announced it has secured $8.7 billion aid package from the United States to support its military efforts. The package includes $3.5 billion for essential wartime procurement that has already been received and earmarked for critical military purchases, and $5.2 billion designated for air defense systems, including the Iron Dome anti-missile system, David Sling, and an advanced laser system.
As the world leaders assembled in New York for the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, the Iranian president took the world by storm when he announced that he is ready and Tehran is ready to solve its standoff, its nuclear standoff with the West. The UN atomic watchdog confirmed that Iran is reviving nuclear talks and nuclear deal. What is really happening? Will the United States and Iran resolve their issue? We tell you more.
For the first time since his election, Iran's moderate president took center stage at the United Nations General Assembly this week. Masoud Pezeshkian signaled his desire to open a constructive chapter in his country's international relations. Staying true to a campaign promise, Pezeshkian said Iran is ready to end its nuclear standoff with the West.
We are ready to interact with the members of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. If the obligations of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action are implemented completely and in good faith, we can enter into a dialogue about other issues.
Directly addressing the American people, Pezeshkian listed several Iranian grievances, from sanctions to the 2020 killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a Trump-era US drone strike. He urged all states pursuing what he called a counterproductive strategy towards Iran to learn from history. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the IAEA chief held talks with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, one of the key architects of the 2015 accord that limited Iran's ability to enrich uranium in return for a lifting of Western sanctions. The UN atomic watchdog chief says he sensed a greater willingness by Iranian officials to engage in a more meaningful way. Rafael Grossi said he wanted to make real progress in restoring proper technical discussions with Iran quickly and was aiming to travel to Tehran in October to meet with the Iranian president. Several long-standing issues have dogged relations between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency. Tehran has barred uranium enrichment experts on the inspection team for years. It has also failed to explain uranium traces at undeclared sites. Iran's new reformist president insisted that Tehran didn't want to enrich uranium at near weapons-grade levels, but was forced by the US withdrawal from its nuclear deal with world powers.
Now let's go to Syria. Syria is a great big part of West Asia. It is living through the wars as well. It's being pounded sometimes by Israeli strikes. And right now, in the displacement of thousands of Lebanese, it is taking in some of the thousands displaced. But recently, in the past week, Syria has a new cabinet who entered the government and who is not a part of it anymore. We tell you more.
Syria has a new cabinet. This week, President Bashar al-Assad issued a decree forming a new government under Prime Minister Mohammad Ghazi al-Jalali. After Assad's ruling Ba'ath Party clinched the majority of over 160 seats in July's parliamentary polls, Jalali has been assigned with the task to restructure the cabinet. The new cabinet sees appointments in the ministries of Foreign Affairs, Finance and Electricity, among others, and replaces an outgoing administration that has been serving in a caretaker role. The Syrian Prime Minister chose Bassem Sabag as his foreign minister. Sabag was a deputy to former Foreign Minister Faisal Mekdad, who was appointed the Vice President for Foreign and Information Policies. Another decree appointed ex-Foreign Minister Faisal Mekdad as Syria's Vice President. Mekdad is authorized to follow up on the implementation of foreign and media policy in the framework of the President's directives. Mekdad worked in the diplomatic corps in 1994 at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then joined the permanent delegation of the Syrian Arab Republic in 1995 at the United Nations. He also worked with various UN committees and represented Syria at several global forums. The main ministries remain unchanged, with Major General Ali Abbas as the Defense Minister and Major General Mohammad Khaled Ramoun as the Interior Minister of Syria. The announcement of the new government came a day after Assad issued an amnesty for crimes committed before September 22nd, including those who did not do compulsory military service.
The United States of America has hailed the United Arab Emirates as its defense partner. This is something that is only named India before. Now, what does this mean for the UAE? Listen in.
Amid the growing fears of a regional war in West Asia, the U.S. named UAE as a major defense partner this week. The announcement came after U.S. President Joe Biden met UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan at the White House. UAE is the second country after India to get this designation since 2021.
For many years, our forces also stood shoulder to shoulder in the same most difficult places. Today, we honor that legacy and carry our relationship forward as UAE is going to become a major defense partner of the United States, joining only one other country, India.
Monday's White House visit by Al Nahyan was the first ever for an Emirati leader.
And I would like to reaffirm that the UAE has affirmed an unwavering commitment to work with the United States of America for the sake of deepening the strategic relationship between our two nations.
The designation for UAE comes despite friction over its alleged role in the war in Sudan. UAE has been accused of channeling weapons to the rapid support forces that are locked in a bloody civil war with the Sudanese army since last April. The fighting has internally displaced over 10.7 million people and forced 2.3 million people to flee Sudan. UAE has called the accusation utterly false and baseless. Ahead of the White House meeting, 5 U.S. lawmakers wrote to Biden calling on him to use Washington's leverage to seek a change of course. The White House said the leaders had discussed the conflict and stressed there can be no military solution to the conflict in Sudan. In a separate meeting with the UAE president, U.S. Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris raised her deep concerns about the conflict in Sudan. The UAE has been a leading voice in the UN Security Council, putting forward resolutions condemning Israel's war on Gaza, often putting it at odds with the veto-carrying U.S. Still, Washington has long viewed the Gulf country as integral to any post-war recovery plans in Gaza. UAE, a wealthy oil producer, is hoping for greater access to American technology to build its own advanced tech industry. G42, the state-backed technology company, has already secured a $1.5 billion investment from Microsoft, partnered with chipmaker NVIDIA, and is using supercomputers built by Cerebras Systems. Ahead of the November U.S. presidential elections, the oil-rich Gulf state is shoring up its position in Washington for when the next U.S. president sits in the Oval Office.
For the last part of the West Asia Post, we are ending where we started, in Lebanon, my home, my country. The Lebanese people have been tried and tested for decades of wars and displacement. The people of the south have been displaced more than twice. Their homes have been destructed more than twice and also rebuilt. This is why the Lebanese spirit in times of war is never defied. It's never defeated. The next few images show you more of that.
We will not leave our lands. We are holding on to our land, to the south and to our country. Even if the Israelis destroyed, bombarded and did whatever they want to our country, we do not care. Our banner will remain raised high and we shall be victorious, God willing.
It's true that we left our home. Material things can be replaced, but lives cannot. Losing someone is incredibly hard. You can't change fate, but it's heartbreaking to lose a loved one.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the most volatile region in the world. I am your host, Radi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
This week on Tech It Up, we tell you about a new age technology that is driving the future of connected cars. We show you how 3D printing is revolutionizing the construction industry. And we give you a sneak peek into what visitors can expect at the Nintendo Museum. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players. Right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
Everyone loves a contest.